I'm trying to think of a time where it was like blatantly obvious and we were laughing so hard, but the last sessions that I've done have all been very heavy. So I can't, I'm having a hard time thinking of like a blatant example.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm doing Counselor Conversations this morning with Elise Fields. So excited to have you, Elise.
Yes,
Uh,
thank you for having me.
Yay. Let's jump right in with my first question, which is what led you to become a therapist?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not one of those people that was born knowing that this was a field that I was going to go into. Through different life experiences, counseling and therapy became a very big part of my life. And it actually got me through the hardest parts of my life. And when I was reflecting on what I wanted to make my lifelong career path look like, therapy just really resonated with me based on the relationships that I have with others and the way that I communicate with others, and really just the need for mental health in general.
Do you mind me asking what was your first career before you were a therapist, or multiple careers? What did you do before you were a therapist?
Yeah, so I have my undergrad in education. I thought I wanted to be a PE teacher. A different life experience kind of threw me into the technology industry, which was nothing that I again ever thought that I would be in. And I had a career in technology sales for the last almost 16 years. So it's been very humbling. My role was very relationship based, and that again kind of played into where I am now. And I kind of made a path for myself there. So, yeah.
I love seeing those little reflections of therapist even in your last job, building those relationships. That's cool. Are there any particular areas of focus or issues that, if somebody's looking for a therapist, you'd be a good fit for?
Yeah. It's these kind of found me, which is interesting. And I love that it's cool to see how God has revealed this to me over time. But I would say primarily individuals that are dealing with anxiety, but primarily around like family hurt or church hurt. They have issues with blending their family, or there's a potential divorce that's going to happen. I'm either seeing that couple or I'm also working with the kids that are a part of that process. Just because of my background and my personal experience, that is very near and dear to my heart. I would also say that anybody that is dealing with postpartum or child loss is also an individual that I would love to work with and help. But I try to kind of approach any individual with open arms and really just try to understand, what, like I said, what their needs are, and try to not be kind of pigeonholed or narrow minded when it comes to that.
Hmm. So, if somebody's coming to therapy for the first time with you, what can they expect in that first session?
I love newbies. And that's actually, I get so excited when I get an individual that's never been in counseling or therapy before. I really just try to make it light. I don't want them to feel that they're taking on something that they won't be able to do. Essentially, I want them to feel comfortable with me, and I want them to feel invited in the setting. So my hope is that I can kind of explain the process in a very tangible way, and in a way that makes them feel like they want to come back. And I try to make it fun if I'm able to, just because I think life should be fun. And I think that even though maybe we're dealing with really heavy and hard topics, that it can still be okay to smile every now and then, or maybe chuckle if something is funny. So I try to incorporate that as well.
Hmm. I love that. I love that. So, somebody's coming into counseling with you for the first time. They've never done counseling before. They might be feeling some anxiety or emotions. What would you want to say directly to that person before they come in?
I would just want to say it's okay to feel anxious, and it's okay to feel nervous. I mean, it's a big step, and it's a very vulnerable step. I would also just commend them on being courageous in taking that step, and being open to speaking with somebody that they've never met before, but also knowing that there's a lot of training, there's a lot of education that goes behind what we're doing. That being said, I think I would also just say that there's no circumstance that I wouldn't be willing to hear or take on. Life is messy. People are messy. We've all got kind of our pasts and our stuff. So I would just try to normalize that in the best way possible, but also commend the fact that it's a big step.
So, new question for you. Being a faith based counselor, how do you integrate faith into the therapy process?
Oh, well, that's all client led. If it's all based on how much the client wants it incorporated into the session, at least within the room. I personally am praying before every session just that God would show up and that He would give me the words to respond with and the ears to listen and just a presence that would comfort my client. But as far as in the session, it can be incorporated as much as an individual wants it to be incorporated or as much as the client wants it to be incorporated. So if they want to pray before we start every session or close every session in prayer, we will absolutely do that. If they want scripture incorporated or resources that are faith-based recommended to them, then I try to offer up as much as I can when it comes to those things. So I would just say that it's really based on how much the individual wants it to be a part of the work that we're doing.
Have you worked with many pastors, missionaries, or people who work in churches?
I have, yeah. Well, I've worked with a handful so far. I actually just wrapped up some work that I did with a youth ministry pastor. Him and his wife have been kind of transported all over the US for his role, and they had some fear around a potential change in the church, and they were coming in as a couple. So I do have experience with that. And I do have a heart for people that are in ministry. My dad was in ministry and my father-in-law was also in ministry. So I can relate to a lot of those experiences that come with that.
Yeah, you get it. You get it. One of the
Mhm.
things you mentioned early on was working with families. What are some of the strategies that you give families when you're working with them?
I think it really depends on what they're wanting to accomplish, but usually there is some type of breakdown in communication. So I think strategies that usually come to light have to do with listening skills and being present and really just trying to have empathy for another family member. I recently had an experience with an individual client whose mom sat in on the session and they really just needed space to talk openly with each other and have not me be a mediator, but really just provide like an unbiased perspective and also just kind of buffer the conversation and help them to communicate. And it seemed to really kind of strengthen their relationship, like right in front of my eyes, which was really cool to see. So I think it primarily comes down to communication, but again, I know it also depends on what the family is going through.
Well, as we wrap up, I'd love to ask you some fun questions.
Sure.
Tell me some of the things that you love doing.
So I am in a blended family and I have three kids. So at this point, I would say my life heavily revolves around my kids' activities just because of the ages that they are. I find myself being the carpool mom and driving to and from different places. But when I'm not doing that, I love to be outside. I love to go hiking. I love to be in the sun. I have two dogs. I love to at least try to get them exercise and get them out and about once a day. I enjoy reading. I love live music, especially. If there's a good concert, I'm always down to go.
I love that. And you have such a warm, welcoming presence about you. I feel like people can feel that. So you're a really
Oh,
safe person for new
thank you.
folks.
I try to be. So thank you. I appreciate that.
And if you'd like to schedule with Elise, you can visit her bio or give us a call. She is accepting new clients. So, yay!